Hello everyone and welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look at custom number formatting, which is the last lesson portion of section 5. We of course have the challenge questions at the end, but that's not going to be a lesson where we look at and learn things regarding numbers. Now, the biggest thing in this number section is that you're able to adjust what numbers look like and how they react based off of the different rules that you set for it. The biggest example would be like if you have a number like 1 or 46,000 something and you switch it to a date, it's going to look like the date format, even though what's actually stored is a 1, a 2, or a number like that. In this video, we're going to look at how you can actually make custom number formatting to change the look in different unique ways. I wanted to highlight before we get into this that I have version 2 here, and that's because I made some changes. Some of it was just like some spelling or grammar, bolding. The biggest thing was this table here, and we'll look at it later on when we look at some different color options, but I wanted to highlight it just in case yours looked a little different. You can make another copy, and then that other copy should have this version 2. Now, if you want to keep the data that you have on the other ones, I would recommend making a new copy, going to this one here and right-clicking and just copying to that existing spreadsheet you already have. Now, the biggest portion of this is that you make rules and you can make it based off of different criteria. In this, it's going to be positive, separated by a semicolon, negative, another semicolon, 0. If you have another semicolon, text. You don't have to do all of them. You could just do positive or negative or just numbers. But that's how you can make different formatted numbers or text based off of those conditions that are built in. Here, I have this set up with a custom number formatting rule where zeros will show 2 zeros. If you make it positive, there's going to be that plus sign to it. If I make it negative, it's going to add those parentheses and it'll go to the decimal places as well. To look at the different special characters, I do have this table here. You can, of course, go to the support rule and look into it further. Essentially, this shows that if you have a 0, it's going to always show that to that place. One singular 0 stored, but appears in the cell as 2. That's because I have the rule set to 0, 0. You can use the number to show any of the number places. There's a lot more different things that do different options. Here, the @ symbol is one that we will use, and that will display the text within that cell. Let's go get started by looking at this row here, and we'll kind of continue and build on it as we go through it. So where we're going to primarily look at is in format, numbers, and then custom number format. You can also use custom currency or date and time. Those just give a little bit more options, like you can switch it to, a different currency, you can have it be euro, and you can, of course, customize it based off of some of these rules that we will look at. So let's go back out, custom number format, and here's that rule that we have so far. You can see here in the display that this is what's going to show for positive, for negative, for 0, and you can see here that I've used some other custom rules. Yours will probably look different and just have the standard options, although a lot of these aren't standard options, more of these. But as you do different options there, it'll kind of add and build. Let's just start from scratch here. So I'm just deleting all of this. Let's say that you add something for positive. You want to have a plus sign or maybe 2 plus signs, and then you want to just show the number. So now it'll have 2 plus signs and the number. For negative, maybe you want that negative spot. Like I said, I had those parentheses, and maybe you want to have a few zeros at the start, and then you want to show the number. You also want it to go to the 2 decimal places. So this means that it will always show up to 5 digits regardless of what the actual number is, and then it's going to also have up to 2 decimal places. Next is 0. Maybe we just want 3 zeros to show there, and let's add text too. In quotation marks, you can put hello, and then have text after. Now, if we just kept it at this, all of your text is just going to say hello. So let's just apply this and see what happens. So now the zeros are there. Let's put a 3 And now you can see plus plus 3, negative 3. You can see here it goes all the way to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 characters, just like we said. Now, if this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it'll show and remove those zeros. If we go past it, let's do an 8, it'll continue to go past it. It just means at minimum, there will always be 5 of those zeros. Again, that can be helpful. You can remove the commas, you can add the commas. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do. Now, let's say we have world as our text. You can see that it switches to hello. Even though here I put world, it'll always change to hello if it is text. So lots of text will be hello. N, hello. O, hello. You get it. So let's say we want this world there, but we want it hello and the world. You go to format, number, custom number format, and then in this, you would have to put the @ symbol for the rest of the text. So hello world, hello Matt, and so on. These rules can be especially helpful, but you want to make sure that you or the users are aware of that. That would be very confusing if someone is trying to type one thing and it just always says hello or goodbye or changes the number completely. Make sure that you are using this for good and not for messing with your coworkers or colleagues. The next one is we're going to show how you can make colors with it. Now, you can use brackets in the location you are trying to make different colors. Again, positive, negative, 0, or text. And in that, you can just specify what the color you want, like green, red, and so on. So in this one, I have positive, green, negative, red, 0, nothing. If I put a 0 here, it's going to be formatted whatever that is. In this case, I have it set as this right here. So let's just put it to black. And now let's go positive. Positive goes to this green here. Now, if I switch the text, regardless of it, it will continue to be green. The 0, because I didn't have any rule specified, will be whatever the text is by default. So if I have this color here, it will show that. Negatives goes back to that negative. So again, that can be helpful if you have different colors. Now, one thing to note, and that's where this was changed. You can actually have up to 56 colors based off of the font colors that are available in Google. You can look more at this link here. This one shows the different colors, and that's where I got this data from here. And finally, there are color hexes if you want to use those, but it will not work unless it's one of these colors here. You have to show in brackets color 41 or 2 or whatever. Maybe you want to switch this green to a little bit nicer of a green. So let's switch it from this green to color 10. So you can click on that rule, go to format, number, custom number format, and see instead of green, color 10. Now I had the bracket, so I just have to remove it. And I just think that that green looks a little nicer. Here, let's say that we want to switch this color to color 1 or 2 or 3. You can see how the 0 is switching colors. We can do like 54, 53, 52. Try that. And for text, hello, at, and then color 20. So that gives this kind of lighter text, maybe 21. Yeah, we'll do purple. Apply. And now this color has changed. If I do text, world, you can see that that's purple, and now it doesn't adjust to it. It is completely up to you how you want to change these colors and use them. It's just, again, you have to use those here. Now, I have these colors here just so you can show, and that's what I had before. Just you are not able to directly use these ones. Like if you want it to be white, you can't just copy this color hex and put it into these formatting rules. Whereas I feel like the first version kind of showed that you could. You'll get this invalid format, you have that issue. So you have to either type it or know what the color is and then put it there. I'm just going to do close so I don't change this rule. But again, I have this here. Now, if you do want to add more or see some different color rules, I like using this just because then you can switch these. So again, if you have like colors that you want, if you go to this website and see some color hex and you want to see what it looks like in here, this is a nice option to be able to do that. Again, totally up to you, but wanted to make that resource. I'm just going to close this, and let's go to the next one. Now, we've looked at how you can use positive and negative and 0, but what if you wanted to do a different range? There are options where you can have it be greater than or less than, or you could have it greater than, less than, or between. So this example here, I have it set so that if it is greater than 200, it'll be green. If it's less than 100 or 100 or less, so less than 101, it'll be red. And then if it's in between 100 and 200, it'll then be cyan. So if I switch this to 201, now it's green. I also added the zeros there too. And let's say that we have 100. You can see that it's red. Same for if it's 0, or if it's negative numbers, it'll still be in this condition here. So again, even though it's positive, negative, 0, you can adjust it. It's just a little bit more tricky, and when you look at it, the preview portion in it won't actually match what's actually happening. So again, you can see this rule in action, and you can work with it. Let me just go ahead and go into Format, Number, Custom Number Format, and you can see here that the positive, the negative, and the 0, they just look different, even though when you actually get to the rule, it will work. So just know that this preview part is not going to be correct. It'll just show, well, if you have a 0, it's going to look like this, even though it actually doesn't. It's if this condition is met. So gets a little bit confusing, but again, hopefully that's making sense. And if you play around with it, you can see. But I wanted to show that just in case you wanted to do something like that. Now, the last thing that I wanted to show is that a lot of times if you have like a graph or something, you sometimes want to show like an up or a down arrow, like it's increasing in price or decreasing or stayed the same or was in a range. You can achieve that by using something similar to what we did up here, where regardless of what the value is, it'll just show something else. So the first thing is an XLOOKUP. Now over here, I just quickly made some pixel art here. So an up arrow, down arrow, just to signal if it is greater than or less than. So this XLOOKUP is going to look up the value here, which I haven't had a value, so it's blank. And it'll be if it is positive, so it's 1 or more, or if it's negative, up to this large number here. So what you can do is you can, in this box, put a 4. And you can see here, that is positive, so it is going up in price. Next, -3, and then this changes to negative. Now what it's doing is it's just looking up this value here and seeing, is it greater than this? If not, it'll be this, and if it is nothing, it'll just be blank. So that's a way that you could have a number and then show with a color or a rule there, it's decreasing in price or increasing. Other options too is you can actually use emojis inside as a number. So right here, for example, I have it set. I'm going to go to Format, Number, Custom Number Format, and it's this. If it's positive, this happy face. If it's negative, this kind of sad face. And then if it's 0, it'll just be 0. So I'm hitting apply. And if I put a 0 here, it stays as a 0. If I put a 1 here, it changes that value of 1 to that happy face. If I put a -2, it goes to that sad face. And so here, it is just showing that emoji. It's not showing the number. And so you have to be careful with that as well. Let's say that here I'm putting a number like a 1, -2, 0, 5. And I use this rule here to this number. Now you can see that this 1 is happy face. If I go down, sad face. If I continue to go down, it's going to copy that rule down, and you can see the happy, the kind of, oh no, and then 0. And so that's one way you can use this. That value of a number, positive, negative, into this emoji type. Alternatively, if you want to also show the number, you can go into the custom number format, and looks like I have that space there too. You could show the number, up to you, and then I'll keep this as 0. Apply. And so now this has changed from 1 to, or just the emoji, to 1 and the emoji. If I bring that down, you can see here the 2, and then the sad face, 5, and then the 0 is just a 0. Again, there are many different ways you can use emojis in there, and really I use that if you have different things. I just personally think that kind of the red colors up and down look a little more professional than like the faces, and unfortunately there's not a very good like green up arrow, red down arrow, but you can look it through the emojis and play around with it if you want to find something else to use that with. These are kind of the biggest parts of custom number formatting. And again, it's up to you how you want to change the color, how you want to change the look of like XLOOKUP or an emoji, or if you want to just have, you know, your own colors and things like what you saw here. Anyway, hopefully you find this helpful. Again, there's a lot more you can do. And so I'd encourage you check out the support article, look through here to see, and honestly just kind of play around with the different custom number ones to find something that you want. As I said earlier too, make sure that you're using this for the greater good and not for evil or to confuse your coworkers. Because it, again, can be very confusing if you're just putting in numbers and then there's emojis coming out. Like, what's going on? So hopefully you find this helpful. The next video will be going through the challenge task, and I encourage you to try this on your own. If you want to check the answers with me going through them, I'll put that video out and just kind of show. Otherwise, you can also show the solutions up here. And, you know, as always, if something doesn't quite make sense, check back in the lessons. Or if you think the question was confusing or something, you can watch my explanation video too. And always comment if you just think it wasn't worded well. Hopefully you find all of this helpful. Do those social things, the like, share, subscribe. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.